And Norm, you're on mute.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. It'd be my pleasure.
Morning.
Honorable Mayor Cantrell.
Present.
Councilmember Jared Brissett.
Present.
Councilmember Ellen Moreno.
Present.
Mr. Gilbert Montano.
Present.
Mr. Norman White.
Present.
And Professor Mara Bogmartin Force.
Present.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a quorum. All right, so thank you all again for being present. It is our revenue estimating conference, as you know. Due to COVID-19, we are having our virtual meetings, as you all are accustomed to. And I know with public comment, the rules will be one, at the beginning of the meeting, staff will read the agenda for the meeting in its entirety. That agenda is also online. It's on the council's website at council.nola.gov. We will have to recess, I'm told, for 20 minutes to allow time for all of our citizens to submit written comments for agenda items today. So anyone wishing, again, to submit a public comment, you need to go to council.nola.gov and fill out that online public comment form. And so, Tiffany, get me straight. If there are any other housekeeping measures at this time that we need to make sure is articulated in the minutes and reflected, of course, to the listening audience or viewing audience.
No, ma'am, nothing at this time other than starting with our roll call before our public comments.
Very good.
The public comments will be a 20-minute break, but at this time, I would be happy to go through the agenda. And the agenda is as follows: roll call for all members, recess for public comment, the adoption of minutes from the November 21, 2019 Revenue Estimating Conference, the adoption of minutes from the October 19, 2020 Revenue Estimating Conference, presentation and discussion of the initial 2021 General Revenue Forecast, adoption of the official revenue forecast for 2021, other matters, and then adjournment. And that is the reading of the full agenda. Ma'am, you may proceed with the 20-minute break.
Thank you very much. So we'll move forward, as you all know, with the 20-minute break. Tiffany, you are keeping time?
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Thank you. And so now let's start with our 20-minute break. think it's almost time.
Good morning, members. We have reached our 20 minutes.
Good. Okay, thank you, Tiffany, and thank you, members of the conference. Tiffany, do we have to do roll call once again, or we can just move forward?
No, Madam Mayor, you can move forward. If you'd like to acknowledge anyone else that has joined the conference, not on committee, you can do so at this time.
Well, if anyone who was not with us at the start and you have since joined us, you can please make your presence known.
Jason Williams on the call, Mayor.
Good. How you doing, Councilman?
Good. Good
All
to see
right.
you.
Good. You too. Okay, very good. So we're going to proceed with our revenue estimating conference, again, October 26th. You know that this estimating conference, it really prepares and publishes the estimates of revenue, which is to be recognized for the current fiscal year by the city's general fund and all other city operating funds as well. You know, it's intended to provide a continuing source of information regarding the finances, as well as our economic data about Orleans Parish, the city of New Orleans. So with that, I will ask for a motion to approve the minutes from the November 21st Revenue Estimating Conference, and this was November of 2019.
Move to
Verify if there were any public comments.
There are no public comments at this time.
Okay, and Councilman Brossette did a
move
motion.
to approve.
Thank you. Gilbert, okay. So we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the November 21st, 2019 Revenue Estimating Conference. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Any public comment?
No, ma'am, no public comment.
So all in favor, and you can do it by how stating your name, or Tiffany, you'll move us through that.
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Cantrell,
Yay.
Councilmember Brissette,
Yay.
Mr. Montano,
Yay.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Ms. Baumgarten-Force.
Yay.
We have all yays, no nays. We have a full.
Okay, thank you. So those minutes pass. We appreciate that. And next, we need to adopt the minutes from the October 19th, 2020 REC. So we need a motion.
So moved.
Okay. We have a motion by Gilbert Montano. We need a second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Brossette. Are there any questions?
No
Or public-
questions and no comments.
Okay, thank you. So with that, we'll move forward with the vote.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Cantrell,
Yay.
Councilmember Brissette,
Yay.
Mr. Montano,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mrs. Baumgarten-Force.
Yes.
All yays, no nays.
Okay, thank you. So without further ado, we can move into the presentation and discussion. And you all know that Randall McElroy will manage this presentation for us at this time. So I'll turn it over to you, Randall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Welcome back, everybody. Okay. We will begin with just reviewing some of the graphs we looked at last week in the previous meeting. If we may advance the slides one more, please. There we go. So this is the change in payroll employment that we're looking at year over year. This is the same, this chart and the next few are the same as we looked at last week, but just to recap, you can see we faced a dramatic fall off in payroll employment, and it's slowly coming back up, slowly getting better, but currently we are still in a very disadvantageous position with this. The next chart, excuse me. The next chart shows the spike in the unemployment rate right where we would expect it, and you can see that unemployment rate is still elevated, but dropping back down. We will just have to make slow and steady progress from this point. It doesn't look like we'll have anything very dramatic to reverse that spike, but over time this will come down. Average weekly earnings, next slide please. Average weekly earnings, this is just for background. It's hard to draw a lot of conclusions from this, not being seasonally adjusted, but it is relevant background to prior year forecast and where we were coming into 2020, which will set us up for next year. The next slide is, as if we didn't know enough already, just to show the position we're in. The GDP contraction that happened recently is really unprecedented in living memory. It dwarfs any previous recessions, depressions that we have going back to the late 1940s. It is getting better. All the forecasts are pointing that way, but of course it will take time. We can't turn around a contraction like that as quickly as we would like to. So on the next slide, these are some themes we touched on in the previous meeting, but we modeled several scenarios for this revenue forecast and ultimately settled on took the Goldilocks, just right approach. But we still have these several sources of uncertainty that could, that will change or possibly change, how things turn out in 2021. We, of course, have the public health conditions being the main factor. We are getting better at controlling the virus. Our behavior is getting better. More people are cooperating, wearing their masks, keeping their social distance, etc. But we simply don't know everything there is to know yet about the virus, and this will be obviously the major impact to 2021 revenue. Macroeconomic conditions, broadly, everybody's in a similar boat. The economy is down all over the place. This will affect us as well here. Not only our own local conditions being low, but other areas' conditions, affect how many tourists come here. We are doing very well with the phase reopenings. We're going in stages, a little at a time, being cautious, making sure we meet certain conditions, certain thresholds. So I'm basically optimistic about this, and we just have to wait and see and make sure we all keep following the rules. We do have the fact that some people are simply not going to rejoin normal life without a vaccine. Surveys have shown this. Dr. Revenu spoke about this last time. We cannot control the speed at which the vaccine is developed and distributed. Obviously, we would like that to be quick. We will have to wait and see. We do have, measures we can take in the meantime. However, we will likely never get entirely back to normal without some sort of vaccine. And I'm, of course, like everybody else, watching the news every day for updates on this. Travel restrictions in other locations and in the United States will affect us. We depend heavily on tourism. Leisure and hospitality sectors are famous across the world, and if people can't get here, that will be a problem. This seems to be, again, slowly getting better, making progress on this, and we will just have to see where we go in the future. We also have policy uncertainty at the federal level. There is an election. There is also ordinary politics. We simply have no idea what sort of policy changes will be made, if any relief money is coming, these sorts of things. Again, this is another, we'll just have to wait and see. Okay, so on the next slide, this is the first presentation of the 2021 proposed forecast. We will talk about it here, take a slight detour, and then come back to this. But this is ultimately the reasons for the REC, is this forecast right here. Property tax, you will see, is about flat. I saw an article in the paper this weekend that made it seem sort of alarming about the property tax changes. However, we did have some preliminary information from the assessor, which was built in, and we do have some of the ordinary kinds of changes like new construction. We also had some slight millage changes that will take effect in 2021, such that we expect to about break even on property taxes. Other taxes is the main source of growth. We, of course, were locked down for a large part of this year. Major events canceled due to the public health crisis. These things took a big toll in the sales taxes in 2020, no two ways about it. However, we do expect some moderate growth in 2021. This is not a full return to normalcy. This is still below the 2019 level, but it is progress, and I'm grateful for that. We do see this growing about 9.2%, almost $18 million to this number here, $212 million for 2021. Sales tax is the main driver of this. There is also the hotel motel tax and a variety of other taxes that were not as dramatically affected, but this all told is the general picture there. Licenses and permits, about a normal year for licenses and permits, we expect. Many of the sources of city revenue in this category are not as dramatically affected by lockdowns, by loss of tourist revenue, et cetera. So this is what we're looking at here, a slight increase, almost 5%, but this is a pretty normal year-to-year change. Intergovernmental revenue, also a slight uptick, nothing too dramatic here. This is, again, not drastically affected by the pandemic. Service charges, we have a large drop-off here, in part, well, almost entirely due to the fact that we had a large source of one-time revenue in 2020, and in 2021 we will not have that large source of revenue, that's the Harris money. So it returns basically to normal in 2021. Fines and forfeits really dropped off a cliff in 2020 with the schools closed, the cameras off, not that many people visiting. We knew we were going to take a hit there. And in 2021, we expect mostly, upward progress here. Not an entire return to normalcy, but much closer than in this year, where for large parts we were locked down due to public health conditions. Miscellaneous revenue. 2021 looks like a much more normal year than 2020 in miscellaneous revenue. The big thing in 2020 was the CARES Act money. Now, when I referred to the policy uncertainty earlier for 2021, if there is any sort of relief money or reimbursement or anything like that, it will go under miscellaneous revenue. However, we can't plan for that. We don't know what's going to happen there, or anybody that does know isn't telling me. So 2021 looks more like an ordinary year there. And then in other financing sources, we have put some fund balance in here, which explains the change. But this, again, looks a lot more normal in 2021 in terms of the amount. The total general fund revenue we expect $633,550,814, less some one-time revenues that we can talk about later, so that we get a recurring general fund revenue forecast of $607,103,082, which is an increase over last year in our core fundamental kinds of revenue activities. So that's encouraging, 8.5% up. Again, not normal, but we're headed back in that direction. So that's encouraging. Okay, so we can let these numbers marinate for a little while. We can talk about, on the next slide, we'll talk about the non-recurring, the one-time sources. Then we'll take another brief detour, and then we'll come back to the 2021 forecast. On this slide, you can see the change in the one-time revenues. The CARES Act was a massive source of money in 2020, of course, not coming back, or likely not coming back. Harris, the $48 million payment there, that was a big boost to us, and some of these other smaller ones. The Medicaid UPL payment is made every year, but the amount fluctuates, so it dropped quite a bit this year based on ambulance payments, and that should come back. We will get $3 million from Harrah's and a couple other smaller sources here. So this is the breakdown of that. If we do get any federal relief money or something like that, this 26 million number obviously could change in a heartbeat, but we have to wait and see about that. Okay, so on the next slide, we have the general fund balance planning projections. We covered this last time, but there was an update, so I wanted to cover it again. This is not an official forecast. This is just for planning purposes, just to see sort of what could happen if revenues do not increase or if expenditures increase too much. We could by 2024, this is the doom scenario we're looking at. However, it's not. We don't expect it to actually go there. This is just for just to project. The update that we made from last time was the 2019 audit. Normally, in a normal year, would be completed by now. However, due to the cyber attack and the pandemic, it's been delayed. It's been extended. They're currently working on it. I'm not sure of the progress, so I wouldn't say. I believe it's pretty close to done. But we do have an anticipated surplus for 2019. In the last presentation, this was about $1 million deficit from the general fund, which is to say $1 million of use from the fund balance that now we don't think we will need. It looks like instead we will have about a $7 million surplus, a little over 7 million here. So that changes the picture going forward. 2020, those numbers are still right where we expected, and 2021 is now being presented. But that's an $8 million swing. That's good news, basically when we need good news. So on the next slide, we just cascade these changes down to show what could happen to the adjusted and unassigned fund balance numbers. Again, if sources of revenue do not materialize like we hope, or if expenses increase beyond what we expect. So we don't have to be too scared by these numbers. This is just for us to, keep our focus. And I wanted to present this to you just because of the large change in the 2019 audit. All right, on the next slide, this is just the overview of the forecast growth rates. 2019 unaudited actuals. This number may change very, very slightly from here as the audit is finalized. But this had about a 2.5% decrease from the prior year, while the recurring component of that had a 3% increase. 2020, the general fund revenue, total revenue declined obviously, and the recurring portion declined over 15%, which again, we expected, we saw that coming. In 2021, we have a slight decrease here, 6.8% decrease in total general fund revenue, again, due to not receiving a lot of these one-time payments. But the recurring component increases 8.5% in the forecast due to this, again, slow, steady kind of progress, resuming normal life at some point. Okay, so on the next slide, we have the 2021 total revenue. This is what we will vote to adopt shortly, but I want to break this down in terms of recurring and non-recurring just to get the picture here. Property tax, other taxes, licenses, and permits is all recurring revenue, so no change there. Intergovernmental revenue has this increase, and these are detailed on the previous list of one-time payments. But this is the component of intergovernmental revenue. About a third of it is non-recurring. For service charges, there is a small one-time payment of $3 million, small relative to the overall picture, not in absolute terms, and a $91.5 million recurring component. Fines and forfeits is all recurring. Miscellaneous revenue has the cyber attack claim for $3 million, and the rest being recurring. And the non-recurring component of other financing sources is the fund balance, with the recurring being some small bond payments. So, as we said, total general fund revenue for 2021, we expect to be $633,550,814, with a non-general fund revenue component, our other sources, $494,325,185, which gives the total 2021 revenue to the city of New Orleans at $1,127,875,999 forecast. If there are any questions, please let me know.
Any questions? I don't hear any questions.
All right, so at this point, Madam Mayor, I turn it back over to you for, this is the part we will vote and read into the record.
Okay, Randall, thank you so much for the presentation. And as you just mentioned, this is our part where we adopt the official 2021 general fund revenue forecast as just presented, and the savings of fund certification as well. And we can take them in global. So I need a motion to approve and pretty much adopt the 2021 initial general fund revenue forecast and the certification of savings fund. So I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, and was that Councilmember Moreno?
Mara Force.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any questions, any public comment?
No, there are no public comments.
Okay, no questions. So we'll move forward with the vote, Ms. Tiffany.
Thank you. Madam Mayor,
Present, yay.
Councilmember Brissette,
Yay.
Mr. Montano,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Professor Fairst.
Yes.
We have all yeas, no nays, a unanimous vote.
Okay, so we have officially adopted both the general fund, the forecast, along with the certification, savings certification. So thank you for that. And are there any other matters?
Oh, Madam Mayor, excuse me, this, I should read into the record the revenue categories for 2021.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Just for the record here, the forecast components for property tax, $168,192,771. 1B, other taxes, $212,702,239. For licenses and permits, $74,206,926. Intergovernmental revenue, $30,180,810. For service charges, $94,541,543. Fines and forfeits, $27,835,635. Miscellaneous revenue, $15,028,931. Other financing sources, $10,861,959. Total general fund revenue, $633,550,814. Non-general fund revenue, $494,325,185. For total 21 general, total revenue 2021, $1,127,875,999.
Okay, that's it, Randall?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. So officially read into the record. So now can we go to other matters if we have any?
If I may, Madam Mayor, if there are no other matters, we have at the end of the presentation, we have a data appendix. This is a more detailed level breakdown if anybody wants to see it, but we don't have to cover it here. That's just for reference.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
If there are no other matters, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion, that was Councilman Brissette?
think that was Mr. White, I think.
Norman. Okay, so we have a motion to adjourn by Norman White, seconded by Gilbert Montano. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Any opposed, any abstentions? Hearing none, so we are officially adjourned. And I believe we come back for the Budget Committee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.